I just want to take this opportunity to thank Congressman Michael Burgess for inviting me back to the Transportation Summit that's being held in his district. Had the great privilege of being there last year with many of you who are gathered today. While I can't be with you in person, this video taping I think is very timely, and I think you'll know why in a few seconds, because I wanted to have this opportunity to bring you up to date on what's going on in Washington with transportation legislation. And actually in the last few days we've had some great success in moving forward on a whole host of transportation issues. As you may know, those of you involved in transportation, we've had 21 extensions of our FAA legislation, which expired 4.5 years ago, more than 4.5 years ago. And there have been some rather testy times in trying to get us to move forward. I approved 17 extensions when the other side of the aisle had control for some 4 years, and 3 extensions, and then I said we had to make some changes and move forward with a long-term bill. I'm pleased to report that even though we did have, again, a very difficult time, and the extension that I proposed was a tough one with some tough measures, cutting some subsidies that some people found dear to their heart, but we are here to report to you that we have begun the negotiations, the important talks to get us transportation, aviation approval for hopefully a long term. It's my hope to sit down in the next few days. We've directed staff after restarting negotiations to come up with some decisions and finalization of that product. The few remaining items I think can be resolved. Some may be needed to be taken to higher levels of leadership in the House and Senate, but I'm confident we'll move forward on FAA, and hopefully this year. As you know, the current expiration is set for the end of January, and I quite frankly don't intend to do another one. We need to get it done now. On the transportation side, a larger picture, the surface bill, sometimes referred to as a highway bill. There's also some great news there too. For now more than 2 years we've had a delay. We've expired our authorization some well over 2 years ago, and we've done 8 extensions as part of the agreement to get the final extension on the FAA. We got one also on surface transportation reauthorization through March 31st of next year. Now the good news is on 2 fronts. First, the Senate has marked up part of their legislation. The House, and again, just very delighted to report to you, we now have plans to mark up legislation in December and try to get that legislation also before the House of Representatives and passed by the House before we leave here in Washington in December for our break. That would allow us to conference the legislation. So we've had important breakthrough. Our leadership on the Republican side has agreed to tie energy production and new energy production, which is so important for the country, and some of those funds, new resources, into make up the shortfall. You know, we now take in $35 billion, but we've been spending more than that, and I think this commitment by the leadership will get us to at least a 5-year longer term bill. The Senate has passed a short-term bill, only 2 years, and I have concerns about how that affects the trust fund. So do need your support and your assistance. The bill is pretty much as we've rolled out, and you can look at our website. We do improve the financing capability of a whole bunch of federal programs, some that work well, some that, Antifi is an example, some that don't work RIF, rail infrastructure financing, doesn't work as well. Opening up the Harbor Maintenance Trust Fund, and a host of other programs. Also, something that's important to Texas is the authorization of public-private partnerships. So we can leverage money. First of all, we'll have more money with this new commitment, leverage that. And finally, the most important thing is also doing something about speeding up the process. I know projects like your interstate in Texas, the expansion, you need the money, but you also need to speed up the process. And those will be the centerpieces of our bill. Again, financing it, longer term with, again, a whole host of financing options, devolving more authority and responsibility to the states, consolidating federal programs. But I think we have a great opportunity to pass this legislation in the House very soon, and then begin conferences. What I need most of all is your support. I've had Dr. Burgess's great support. He is a wonderful leader and a spokesperson for your interests in Washington and on this legislation. But I need all of you two chiming in. Texas has one of the biggest delegations in the United States. So we move this legislation forward. We get projects moving, projects financed, and projects sped up across the United States of America and for Texas. So I wish you well as you gather again. I hope I can join you in the future. Please to send along this message, and also ask for your help as we take on this important final task to get people working, projects moving, and get America on the go and grow again. Thank you. I'm Congressman John Mica.